conversion of epsilon NFA to NFA. So here we got an epsilon NFA with the epsilon transition from state to Q0 to Q1 and from state to Q1 to Q2. Okay, so in order to convert this epsilon NFA, the new NFA will be created like this. The initial state of the new NFA will be the epsilon closure of initial state of the epsilon NFA. Okay, so the epsilon closure of Q0 is on Q0. By reading the symbol epsilon, we can go to the state Q0, Q1 and Q2. Okay, so epsilon closure of Q0 will be Q0, Q1 and Q2. Okay, so the initial state of new NFA will be epsilon closure of Q0, that is Q0, Q1, Q2. Okay, the new state of the NFA will be epsilon closure of remaining states. Okay, that is epsilon closure of Q1 as well as epsilon closure of Q2. Okay, and epsilon closure of Q1 is Q1 comma Q2 and epsilon closure of Q2 is Q2 itself. Okay, now the final state is all the state containing the final state of the epsilon NFA. Okay, here the final state is Q2, so the initial state contains Q2, so initial state is a final state. Then the new state Q1, Q2 also contain Q2. Okay, so it is also a final state, and the Q2 is a final state. Okay, so the final state of our new NFA will be, these are the pair Q0, Q1, Q2 will be a final state, and next the pair Q1, Q2 will be a final state, and the last state Q2 will be also a final state. Okay, so our NFA without epsilon transition will have three states. The states are Q0, Q1, Q2. Okay, then Q1, Q2 and Q2. Okay, and initial state will be the state Q0, Q1, Q2. Okay, the pair the set Q0, Q1, Q2, and final states will be all the states. Okay, because all the states contain the final state of epsilon NFA. Okay, now let's find out the transitions. Okay, so first we will take the initial state which contains the set Q0, Q1 and Q2 on input symbol A, where it will go. Let us find out on input symbol A where it will go. Okay, so it will be, and we will represent the transition as delta dash. Okay, so delta dash of Q0, Q1, Q2 will be epsilon closure of delta of Q0A union delta of Q1A union delta of Q2A. Okay, that is delta dash of Q0, Q1, Q2A will be epsilon closure of delta of Q0A, then Q1 union Q1A union Q2A. Okay, and we know delta of Q0A is Q0. Okay, then delta of Q1A, there is no transition on Q1A, so it is union phi, we can represent it as phi. Then Q2A, there is no transition on A, there is no transition from Q2 on A, so we can represent it as phi. Okay, so epsilon closure of Q0 union phi, that is epsilon closure of Q0. Epsilon closure of Q0 is, which is equal to, we know, Q0 comma Q1 and Q2. Okay, so from the state Q0, Q1, Q2 on the symbol A, it is going to the same state itself. Okay, now we will find out where it will go on reading the symbol B. Okay, so it will be epsilon closure of delta of Q0B union delta of Q1B union delta of Q2B. Okay, which will be equal to epsilon cross of q0 on B. There is no transition defined, so it will be phi union q1 on B. We are remaining in the state q1 itself, union q2 on B. We are remaining in the state q2 itself. Okay, so this will be epsilon closure of q1 comma q2. Okay, so what is epsilon closure of q1? Epsilon closure of q1 is q1 q2. Okay, and epsilon closure of q2 is q2 itself. Okay, so on B, input symbol B, our new NFA will go to the state q1 q2 as well as the state q2. Now we will take the next state, that is the state q1 q2. Okay, and find out the transition. Okay, so q1 q2 delta dash of q1 q2 A is equal to epsilon closure of delta of q1 A union delta of q2 A. Okay, so delta of q1 A is phi. Okay, and q2 A also phi. So this will be epsilon closure of phi, and there is no transition for q1 q2 on input symbol A. Okay, now we will find out delta dash of q1 q2 on B. Okay, it will be epsilon closure of delta of q1 B union delta of q2 B. Okay, so q1 B is q1, okay, union q2 B is q2. Okay, so now we got two pairs q1 and q2, and we had to find out the epsilon closure of q1 q2. So epsilon closure of q1 is the set q1 q2. Okay, and epsilon closure of q2 is the set q2. Okay, so from state q1 q2, after reading B, the NFA will go to the state q1, the q1 q2 as well as the state q2. Okay, now on we got the last state is the state q2, and we know on q2 on A there is no transition, and on B it is remaining in the state q2 itself. So after removing all the epsilon protections, NFA will be looks like this. Okay, that is from the initial state q0 q1 q2. On A we will be in the state q1 is the same state. On B we are going to the state q1 q2. From q1 q2 there is no transition for the input symbol A. Okay, but on B it is there are two transitions. Okay, and from q2 we have there is no transition on input symbol B. Okay.